Have you ever wondered what's really happening in the invisible world when you pick up a rosary? As you turn the beads between your fingers, are you just reciting a prayer, or are you becoming part of something much bigger? Throughout his life, Padre Pio placed immense importance on the rosary and revealed startling truths about it that most people don't know. According to the saint, when we pray the rosary, we aren't just calling out to the Virgin Mary, we are launching a massive spiritual war in the heavens. And the most powerful warrior in this battle, Archangel Michael, springs into action with every single bead. So, what exactly did Padre Pio see? How does Archangel Michael respond to the rosary, and why did he call it the most powerful weapon against the devil? In this video, we will explore Padre Pio's teachings on the hidden power of the rosary, the role of Archangel Michael, and the incredible effects this sacred prayer creates in the spiritual realm. If you want to gain a deeper respect for the rosary than ever before and understand its true power, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and keep watching. Because what you learn today could change your prayer life forever. For Padre Pio, the rosary wasn't just a prayer tool, it was a spiritual weapon. The saint, who almost always had a rosary in his hand throughout his life, once said, "The rosary is like a bomb to the devil." But what makes this bomb go off? The answer is the intervention of Archangel Michael. In his mystical visions, Padre Pio saw angels gathering around everyone who prayed the rosary, but when the rosary prayer begins, something special happens. Archangel Michael himself comes to that person's side. The saint used to describe it like this: when you say the first, "Our Father," of the rosary, Archangel Michael takes his battle position. With every "Hail Mary," he raises his sword. And by the time you finish the rosary, all the dark forces around you have been scattered. This wasn't just a metaphor. Padre Pio saw this happening exactly like this in the invisible world. An illustrative example of this is something that happened in San Giovanni Rotondo in the 1960s. An elderly woman named Giovanna came to Padre Pio and told him she was constantly hearing terrifying noises in her house and couldn't find peace at night. There was a disturbance in her home, and she couldn't take it anymore. Padre Pio gave her very simple advice: every night before bed, pray a full rosary. Just say it, and at the same time, imagine Archangel Michael fighting for you. Giovanna was skeptical at first. How could something so simple help? But she trusted Padre Pio. That night, she took the rosary and began to pray. After the first decade, she felt something strange. The room felt lighter and clearer. By the time she finished, she fell into the most peaceful sleep of her life. The disturbing noises never came back. When she went to thank him, Padre Pio smiled and said, "I didn't do anything, Archangel Michael did it." The rosary was the call bell for him. According to Padre Pio's teachings, Archangel Michael has a special devotion to the rosary because it is the prayer of the Virgin Mary, and Michael is always at her command. The Bible describes him as the commander-in-chief of God's armies. He is the most powerful angel fighting the devil. However, what Padre Pio saw was that Michael is active not just in cosmic wars, but in the daily spiritual struggle of every believer. The rosary is the most direct way to request his help. The saint explained it this way: every "Hail Mary" is like a command to Michael. It says, "Come and protect." And he is never slow to respond. That's why it's so important to pray with intention, not just mechanically. With every bead, remember that Archangel Michael is fighting for you. So, what exactly does Archangel Michael do for the person praying the rosary? According to Padre Pio's teachings, three main things happen. First, Michael forms a protective shield. Once the rosary starts, any dark power trying to enter that person's spiritual space hits an invisible wall. This wall is the circle of light created by Michael's sword. Second, he silences the demonic whispers of sin, doubt, fear, and despair. During the prayer, these suddenly stop because Michael cuts them off at the source. Third, he carries the prayer directly to the Virgin Mary. Every Hail Mary is lifted to the heavens by Michael and presented to her throne. So, we aren't just repeating words, we are part of a process where angels form a chain of messengers, carrying our prayers to the sky. Another powerful example is the story of Thomas, who lived in Chicago and struggled with deep depression and suicidal thoughts. A friend told him about Padre Pio's teachings. As a last resort, Thomas tried it. The first day, he felt nothing. The second day, it felt a bit easier. On the third day, as he said the Hail Marys, the dark voices in his head telling him he was worthless, that no one loved him, and that his life was meaningless suddenly stopped as if someone flipped a switch. He had found silence. For the first time in months, there was true silence in his mind. Thomas started to cry, but this time it was out of pure relief. By the end, he felt a spark of hope. He kept praying every day, and over time, his depression lifted. Today, Thomas believes Archangel Michael saved his life through the Rosary. Padre Pio also taught that the Rosary is the strongest way to intercede for others. When you pray for someone else, Archangel Michael goes to them, no matter where they are. The saint once said, "Pray the Rosary for someone far away, and Michael will visit them. They might not even know why, but something will change for them that day." This is an incredible truth. Is a loved one in danger? Are they struggling with illness or a crisis? Pray for them and send Michael to their side. Even if you aren't there physically, you are helping them spiritually. Maria, a mother in New York, saw this firsthand. Her son Jake was struggling with addiction and living on the streets. Maria couldn't communicate with him and lived in constant fear. A priest told her about Padre Pio's teachings. Maria started praying the Rosary for him every day, sometimes several times a day. At every bead, she would say, "Archangel Michael, go and protect my son." 3 months later, Jake called her. His voice had changed, it was clearer and more hopeful. "Mom, I don't know why, but in the last few weeks, something changed inside me. I feel like someone is watching over me. I've decided to go to a rehab center," he said. Maria realized through her tears that Archangel Michael was with her son through her rosaries. Today, Jake has been sober for 2 years and is rebuilding his life. Now that you understand the power of the Rosary and the role of Archangel Michael better, let's move on to the practical steps. Padre Pio suggested a few important points. First, hold a physical rosary. Digital counters or mental counting are not enough. The physical beads solidify your prayer and increase concentration. Second, say every Hail Mary with awareness. Don't rush, avoid mechanical repetition, pause at each bead and think, "Archangel Michael, come and protect me." Third, kneel if you can. Padre Pio said kneeling is a sign of humility that attracts angels more powerfully. He also recommended adding the Saint Michael prayer 3 times at the end. This prayer says, "Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray, and do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the other evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen." Padre Pio said that anyone who adds this prayer to the end of their rosary receives Michael's special protection. The saint explained, with this prayer, you are not just asking Michael for intercession, you are telling him that you want to be an active warrior in his army, and Michael loves such volunteers. A family in Detroit dealing with constant tension and fighting tried this. The mother, father, and 3 children began praying together every night and ending with the Saint Michael prayer. The first week, nothing changed. The second week, the arguments decreased slightly. By the end of the third week, the house felt completely different. It was like a heavy weight had been lifted. The family members became more patient and loving. The mother later wrote to the Padre Pio Foundation, "Archangel Michael saved our home. Through the Rosary, he began to live in our house. Padre Pio's another important teaching about the Rosary was about timing. The saint said that the Rosary prayed at certain hours was more powerful, especially at 3 p.m., the hour Jesus died on the cross, and at midnight, when demonic activity is most intense. The Rosary prayed at these hours is the one to which Archangel Michael responds most quickly. If possible, pray your daily Rosary at these times, but of course, the Rosary prayed at any time is extremely powerful. The key is to be consistent and sincere. Another extraordinary story from Padre Pio's life perfectly demonstrates the power of the Rosary and Michael's intervention. In the 1940s, during World War II, San Giovanni Rotondo was under the threat of American bombing. The people were panicked, preparing to flee the city. Padre Pio calmly climbed the monastery tower, took the Rosary in his hand, and began to pray. At the same time, he called out to Archangel Michael, "Michael, protect this city. There are innocents here." Witnesses say they saw a strange light rising from the tower as Padre Pio prayed. That day, as American bombers approached the city, the pilots experienced something bizarre. Their control panels went haywire, they couldn't release their bombs, and they were forced to turn back. One pilot later said in an interview, "I saw a giant figure in the sky that day. He turned us back with his sword. I never understood it, but we couldn't bomb that city." San Giovanni Rotondo was saved, and the people knew it was because of Padre Pio's Rosary and Archangel Michael's intervention. For Padre Pio, the Rosary was not just a means of protection, it was also a school of spiritual training. Every time you pray the Rosary, you develop virtues like humility, perseverance, faith, and trust in the Virgin Mary. And Archangel Michael helps you develop these. The saint would say, pray the Rosary regularly, and in 1 year, you will be a completely different person. Because Michael doesn't just protect you, he also transforms you. His sword cuts down enemies, but it also cuts through your bad habits, sins, and weaknesses. David, a man in Los Angeles with anger management issues, experienced this transformation personally. He was constantly getting into fights, losing his jobs, and his relationships were ruined. One day, in despair, he walked into a church and saw an old woman praying the Rosary. He wanted to try it. For the first few weeks, there was no change. But in the 4th week, when someone at work said something to annoy him, a moment where he normally would have exploded, he felt a strange calmness. Anger came, but it wasn't as strong. 3 months later, David was almost unrecognizable. He was calm, patient, and in control. When a friend asked what happened, David showed him the Rosary and said, "Archangel Michael remade me." Finally, one of Padre Pio's deepest sayings about the Rosary and Archangel Michael was this: when you hold the Rosary in your hand, you are holding Michael's sword. When you pray with it, you are fighting with him. And the dark forces cannot approach you because you are no longer unarmed, you are united with the most powerful warrior of the heavens. This reminds us that the Rosary is not just a prayer, it is a weapon, and Archangel Michael is our comrade in arms. I want to tell you about a very special practice Padre Pio taught. The saint suggested a variation he called the Michael Rosary, specifically for difficult times. You pray the normal Rosary, but at the end of each decade, after the Glory Be, you add, Saint Michael the Archangel, protect me now, Amen. That's it. It is a very simple addition, but Padre Pio said it draws Michael's attention specifically to you. If you are in a crisis, struggling with illness, or under spiritual attack, pray this Michael Rosary. The results will be startling. Patricia, a woman in Boston fighting cancer, used this practice every day. Sometimes in great pain, she prayed the Rosary to Michael. The doctors didn't give her much hope, but Patricia didn't give up. She continued to pray. One day, during a checkup, the doctors were astonished to see the tumor had shrunk. In the following months, the cancer receded completely. The doctors called it spontaneous remission. But Patricia knew what had happened. Archangel Michael had healed her through the Rosary. If you've watched this far, you are now looking at your rosary with different eyes. It is not just a string of beads, it is a bell that calls Archangel Michael, a sword against the darkness, and a ladder to heaven. Every time you pray, tremendous things are happening in the invisible world. Angels are gathering, Michael is preparing for battle, and the Virgin Mary is smiling. So, do not take the Rosary lightly, pray it every day, take it seriously, and experience the power of Archangel Michael in your life. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us about your stories in the comments. Do you pray the Rosary regularly? Have there been moments where you saw its effect? Have you felt Michael's intervention? Your story could strengthen someone else's faith. God bless you, and may the intercession of the Virgin Mary and the sword of Archangel Michael be with you always. Amen.